If you are a veterinary nurse who's thinking about starting your own side hustle or business and you just don't know where to start, this is the video for you. If you don't know me, my name is Ellie and I am a registered veterinary nurse based in the UK, and I have my own coaching business where I help vet nurses build their confidence. And I did this with zero experience at the beginning, and I'm going to tell you all the mistakes that I have made so that you don't have to make them. It's not uncommon now actually to see that veterinary nurses are starting their own side hustles and businesses, and I think it's because of the low pay that we get, which does not reflect the skills that we do. We are also really underutilised in practice most of the time, and so I think being able to create something for yourself as a veterinary nurse is really empowering, because one, it will give you a chance to utilise your skills and what you are actually passionate for and what you're actually good at, and also get the pay that reflects all the hard work that you have been doing. Starting a side hustle or business is actually really fulfilling. I have loved every moment of starting my own business. Even through the difficult parts, it has still been a journey for me that I am really grateful for, and one that I absolutely love, and I never want to stop doing it. So examples of what veterinary nurses can do are things like mobile pet services. There is becoming an online content creator, a CPD provider, and the list can go on and on. I have my own coaching business where I help veterinary nurses build their confidence by providing one-to-one coaching, and I also have a community membership as well called the Positive Vet Nurse Club. I started my coaching business when I felt really burnt out in clinic, and I was wondering if I'd actually hit a ceiling with vet nursing. I was wondering whether it was for me anymore, and I was just getting tired of being in clinic all of the time. And although coaching wasn't a lifelong plan of mine, I found the certificate to do the course and I felt like an instant pull. I was like, I have to do this. This is something that I will absolutely love to do. I love helping people naturally, and so I knew that I could help lots of people in this profession. And it took me just over a year to complete the course. I had to do 400 hours of client coaching practice. I had to do assignments. Once I qualified, I was then kind of left on my own to figure it out. The course gave some very generic business, setup ideas, but nothing really specific to me or my audience. So I was like, what do I do now? I was completely on my own. So I'm going to tell you some of the mistakes that I have made while starting up my business and some tips on what you can do. So mistake number one was that I was ignoring my gut instinct. So when I first started the coaching business, I originally wanted to delve into inner child healing work, and I wanted that to be my niche in women in general, because I found that I got a lot of benefit from when I did the work myself, and I thought lots of people can benefit from this. I was so done with veterinary at this point that I barely used my Instagram, The Positive Vet Nurse. I was walking away from an audience that I spent years and years building. And that was one of the biggest mistakes of mine, is that I ignored my gut feeling to stay with it and keep working on it, that I just decided to leave it and start a whole new platform. Now, for context, if you haven't already got your own Instagram for your own business or side hustle yet, 8 years ago it was a lot different. So when I started, the explore page was full of things that you genuinely wanted to see. So because I was doing vet nursing, I would get accounts coming up of veterinary nurses. So Lou the vet nurse, veterinary anaesthesia. I then had, the vets popping up as well, like Katie Ford, that sort of thing. So you could easily start to build a bit of a community. You could see your people, they could see you. Whereas now the algorithm is literally anything and everything, and most of the time it's trying to sell you something. which is really annoying. So I would say it was easier back then to build an audience and build a following, whereas now it is a lot harder. It's not a reason not to start, but just for the sake of me trying to explain to you that I tried to start a brand new audience when I already had a really, really good platform to begin with. And of course, there's no doubt there that I really struggled and there was no traction whatsoever. So then after a while of realization, I was like, no, I can't continue with this. This is getting me nowhere. I kept also getting veterinary nurses want coaching by me. I just couldn't get rid of you. And so I pivoted back to veterinary nursing, and that is why I do coaching for veterinary nurses now. I would say the biggest tip is to do what feels right for you, not because somebody else is doing it. You know, if you already have an account, I wouldn't make another one. I would just carry on doing what you're doing now, but just pivot ever so slightly in what content you're doing. But I also want you to know that you need to listen to your gut as well, and don't just do everything because everybody else is doing it that way. Do it because you believe in it and because it's something that you think will be great and that will give you fulfillment in your career. So mistake number 2 is a biggie. So I wanted to get all the bells and whistles straight away. So what I mean by that is when you're starting a business up, there are lots and lots of different things that you need or that you think you should need. So things like websites, having a domain, having an email system, getting flyers, posters, paying for ads, things like that. For me, when I first started, I didn't really understand my processes and systems yet. I spent a lot of money on things that I didn't need at that stage. One of the biggest lessons for me was getting clear on what it was that I was actually wanting to do and working out how to do it as cost effective as possible. The thing is, you can always build up as well. You don't need, a £600 camera like what I did. You can record on your phone. It's absolutely fine. And you can get these mini mics now that are about 10-20 quid. You don't need to be getting a really expensive one. I also paid hundreds and hundreds of pounds over the past few years to have a website, which was really, really crap. I hated it. It was on GoDaddy, so please no one use that. I then found that I could make a website for free in Canva. And it basically does exactly the same thing. It points people to the services that I provide. So yeah, you don't actually need to go and spend hundreds and hundreds on it if you don't have to. I think having a domain is important. So for me, I have thepositivevetnurse.com and no one else can use that. So I think sometimes domains can be important and they're not that expensive. Depends what you're going for, I guess. But I don't want you to get hung up on starting a website straight away if you don't need one. Again, it depends on what you're doing. I have a link in my bio by an app called Milkshake. And it's a free app and you can put all your links on there. So if you are providing a service, you can add the links to that for absolutely free. You don't need to get a website, build a website, pay for someone to build your website and spend lots and lots of hours doing that, because that is what I did originally. Email systems as well. You don't need to get yourself into this thinking that you need to do that as well, unless that again is something you are specifically doing for your role. But I still use Flowdesk, which, if you know Flowdesk, it's rather costly. I didn't need that at all when I first started. I've fallen in love with the system now and I'm just going to keep it because I have multiple checkouts, I have different forms on there. It works for me, and although it is costly, it's an expense that I'm happy to pay at the moment. But at the time when I first started, I really didn't need to do that. So yeah, try and do things cost effectively. You don't need the bells and whistles straight away. Again, if you're not sure on where to start, there are plenty of videos on YouTube, and you can also send me a message if you're unsure. Mistake number 3 is that I was trying to do what everybody else was doing. So I think it's easy to compare yourself at the beginning when you're doing anything, because a lot of the time when we come up with side hustles, business ideas, we often get inspiration from others, and that's when we can tend to get into this comparison spiral. We can get hooked on exactly what they are doing, and we must do it their way because they're doing really well at it. But that isn't always the answer going forward. You've got to do something that is authentic to you. You can't always be copying people's ideas. And I was looking at other coaches, and they were doing packages, they were doing courses, they were doing retreats, things that are rather expensive and very timely to set up. And at the stage that I was in, it just wasn't feasible for me, but I was still trying to do those things. And I just got myself really overwhelmed, and I was thinking I'm not good enough at doing this. Whereas now I have 2 services that I offer at the moment, which is my one-to-one coaching and my membership community. That for me right now works absolutely fine, because I always say when you're in the beginning of starting anything, just do one service and do it well. That's the most important thing. And as well, content-wise, you can also get hooked on what other people are doing, what is trending right now, what is cool, and sometimes that might not be what is authentic to you and what suits you or your brand. And also, people kept saying, when I was setting up my own business, people kept saying, oh, you need to post every day. No, when can you possibly find the time to do that? That is a bit of a myth as well. Post good quality, post consistently, and that will win the race, basically. Also do content that you want to do, because people, like people. You can build an audience through being different and being authentically yourself. So please never pretend to be somebody else. If you're sat here as well and you're thinking, yeah, I want to start my own side hustle and business, but I just don't know where to start, here are 5 questions that I want you to answer. So question number 1 is, what skills or passions of yours would you like to offer? So write down everything that you would like to do, things you would like to offer, and then narrow it down to 1 or 2 things. Because like I say, trying to offer everything at once is going to be very overwhelming, and you're not going to know what's going to be the best thing for you to do at the time. Question number 2 is, who are you trying to help and what do you want to achieve? So this might be answering the question of, what are the problems going on at the moment that you might have encountered with this area that you want to work in? What are people struggling with the most? And what could you do to help them with that? What is the solution that you have? Because that's what people want. You're tapping into those pain points of what is going on, and you are the person that is going to be able to solve them for them. So question number 3 is, how much time can you realistically commit to this? So you've got to be honest with yourself when you're starting anything off. It is, how much time do you have? Because you might be doing this alongside clinical work. You have no idea how much burnout you can get from starting your own business, because there's so much that you have to do. So it might be that you spend a couple of hours a week on this, or it might be that you have a little bit more time. Is it the weekends that you're going to do this on? So it's good to know how much time you have, what dates, and when you are going to best do this. So question number 4 is, what is your startup budget? How much are you going to need realistically for this? Have you researched it? Do you know how much you are going to need to start up your own business in order to make it work? And then question 5 is, how much money do you have in order to start that? Because it's got to reflect your startup budget, or as close to it as possible. And then, like I said previously, is that you need to find the most cost-effective options that are going to help you get there. And again, not having the bells and whistles. If you would like more videos on starting your own business or side hustles as a veterinary nurse, Please do comment below or DM me and let me know, because I love talking about this sort of thing, so I would love to help vet nurses with this. So let me know, and I will see you on the next one.